You want to go in depth with 2020? Like
Yeah, I'll start by like where I left off of videos. Yeah. People are like, did this guy crush this car or what? Because, yeah. So yeah, like, never even stopped working on this since I stopped filming. Like, cut the whole front end off. Like, it's got a different motor in it. Suspension's completely different. A lot more things are tubed. Like, a lot has changed, and it's still changing. But basically never stopped working on it. It's just the video stopped because if you're trying to make a fast car, that's gotta come first if you want to be good at that. Because if you're filming at the same time, you're not all in on one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a builder and driver first, not a YouTuber. But again, it's always nice to make videos. Kind of wanted to do this video just to talk about how 2020 went. Like 2020 sucked for like everyone, but 2020 was the year that I decided like, okay, I have a race car, but it's technically not a race car if I haven't raced it, right? Because since everything I do in this car, is built by me, it's, you know, tested by me and everything, so I spent a lot of time just going to the track, just doing laps just to make sure stuff doesn't fall apart. So that's just comes with building a sub, because you can't just, there's literally 2 off-the-shelf parts on this car, and then I still had to fabricate to make them fit. So basically 2020 was the year I'm like, well, I have this car, it runs, it makes like 400, 500 horsepower. I'm like, just throw some giant tires on it and just like go and like try to win an event, right? So yeah.
It's meaty tires.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the same tires as 2 years ago. These things are hockey pucks now. But yeah, like, yeah, I'm sure you remember. Like, this was like, I think April or May or something when I like built this header up first or whatever, and you came by and you're just like,
I was like, dude, this thing is sad. I didn't even believe he made this.
Yeah, like I literally made all that. Like, this I actually remade too, like a while back. Like I made it out of mild steel so I could just cut it and change something if I wanted to. Like I made it unequal length first, then I made it equal, and then I heard how it sounded equal, and I'm like, oh shit, that's how an engine's supposed to sound, right?
Fuck yeah.
And then like this intake manifold and everything, and like, but either way, that was April of 2020. So went through all this engine fab, changed everything, made everything flow way better, and then didn't dyno it, so I had no idea where the tune was at, and then I threw big tires on it, and then I threw that big splitter on it. So now the car is downforce, it has more power, and then the tune isn't right, and then I have no idea of how it's going to drive.
Yeah.
And that was when, like July or something, like went testing.
Yeah.
In the evening.
That was, I believe that was right around my birthday too, we went.
Yeah. So yeah, I went testing. And then I've never been more like discouraged by a car in my life, because like, you know what I mean, you go from a car that does a minute 19 like with terrible driving and like, you know, skinny Pirellis and whatever, it's kind of whatever, right? You're doing 19s, you're like, okay, you put more power into it, you put bigger tires and a little bit more downforce, you can't go slower, right?
Yeah.
But the answer is you can go slower. Like you're gonna go slower if, yeah.
All that work for like nothing.
Exactly. So basically like the car just wouldn't go straight down the front straight. Like maybe from the outside it looked like kind of okay, but dude, I was just battling it all the way down the straight. I wish I had an in-car video of that. And then cornering, like you turn in and you just have no idea what path it's going to take through the turn because the wheel alignment's just all over the place. And so that ended up being like the subframe being a U shape, and then it's just flexing from all the grip, and then just the struts have play in it because the tie rods are so high, but either way, that's all addressed now. But yeah, the car was just terrible in that aspect, but it was still pulling high corner Gs. So then it had no oil pressure because of it, because it was wet sump. So then I kept on driving that day just to get enough practice in, right?
Yeah. You want to show them the dry sump that you got?
Yeah. Fucking there it is.
This here is what you said, the NASCAR dry sump?
It's from an actual older NASCAR. It's like a 20 liter or a 5 gallon dry sump tank. It's all addressed now. It's all dry sumped. NASCAR oil tank in the back. Key takeaways is just the car was gripped up like crazy, but I couldn't drive it because it wouldn't drive straight. It was just, you couldn't be a driver. You had to exit a corner in the middle of the track and then, you know, put the power down, and it just takes you on a journey. like it doesn't drive properly. And then while you're going straight, you're pulling like 0.5 G lateral, and then the motor's just dying every time you turn into a corner when you're over a G, because it was wet subbed. So like I remember like end of the day, like idling the car cold, like it had like 7 psi of oil pressure. So that's great. So then the whole plan was to do that test day and then go do the Northern Speed event, right?
Yeah.
That was the next week. And then my like confidence went from, okay, the car should be better, I could do this event and probably win something, to like, okay, if we go to Northern Speed, all we need is 1 lap. Just 1 lap. I don't care if the motor blows up across the line, just 1 lap.
Yeah.
So then, yeah.
Lo and behold.
Literally, like, pull out on the track. On the out lap, I take 2 corners and then it starts knocking. And then fucking put it in neutral and it just locks up.
Yeah, I remember that. How early we woke up for that.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah, that day was like, that was just terror for me too, because like the whole week sucked for me because I had a terrible client that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
Too, that was worrying me. And then like the night before, like got into some problems, let's just say, just business issues with this one client who was making my life miserable. And then I had family stuff, like health stuff too, like the night before, like competing. And I had to get up at 4 a.m. to compete. And I remember the whole way we were driving to the track just talking about anything but racing. We're just talking about personal stuff, right?
Yeah, about life and
it's
shit.
like, and we get to the track and we're like, man, like fire the car up, and like the catch can was, you could smell the fucking rod bearings or the main bearings seizing up through the catch can. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
like, I remember firing it up and I'm like, yeah, that's metal. That's definitely like sparkles in the oil.
Oh god.
Which it was. Yeah, and I made a fool of myself pretty much. That was the first outing of the car. And then all we had to do for that day was a minute 14, like a low minute 14, which isn't even that crazy.
Yeah, and you probably would have came first.
Like with the car looking how it is right now, like with splitter on it, like no hood, nothing, like everything like this, and 13 pounds of boost, it does a minute 16, like now. So
that's
like, sick. Which is amazing. I could do like maybe a 15 with like new front tires or something. So like to do a 14 then, I was probably touching 700 wheel horsepower, because the car was fast. Like even though I couldn't even drive it straight, like on the end of the straight it was doing like 220.
Holy crap!
Which is like, this
is Cayuga, by the way, just so they know.
Yeah. So it's like on this power now, it does like, it was doing minute 16, doing like 181 at the end of the straight, which is like really, like my daily would do that now, like 181 on the straight.
Honestly, but there was also a big involvement that we were playing a lot of COD back then, Warzone.
Oh my god, yeah.
That really ruined it too. We were all like being shitheads. So
yeah, no, it was literally staying up till like 4 a.m. playing Warzone, and then like a week later waking up at 4 a.m. to like drive, and then like you just feel completely lobotomized.
Yeah. I remember you're like, bro, I'm done with video games, bro.
Yeah, I had to quit Warzone for 8 months. Yeah, like I didn't even get into, like, I wish that could have been filmed, but at the same time I couldn't film it myself.
Yeah.
The week I was swapping the motor after it was locked up, like, that was the entire week. That's all I did. It was just a bottom end that I had to put in it, so I had to literally source all the O-rings and shit. Yeah. Keep in mind, this is 2020. So like this.
Yeah, remember you asked me to come over and help you pull the motor, and then I was like, okay, sick. And then I get a text, and he's like, never mind, I already pulled the motor. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, I think you couldn't make it or something. Yeah, like I needed O-rings or something, and then like just had to source. I had to go to like an O-ring warehouse and just get the size I needed, because I couldn't order something because it would take forever to get here because of, like, you know, COVID.
Yeah.
Flipping stupidness. So I did put it all together just in a week, like a lot of like Coors Light and like flipping whatever and like late nights, but I got it all together in just a week, which I'm pretty happy I can do, but I'm never doing that again. because now the first all the engines I've had in this up until this point have just been just a stock bottom end, or like stock bottom end maybe with rods, like not even touch the OEM mains or something, just leave it all stock and then just run it hard. But now this is like properly clearance, like, you know, teardropped all the oil passages in the crank, like polished the crank, like three and a half thou loose on the mains, 3 thou on the rods, like 20 W60 oil, like everything spotless. This block was like sandblasted and fully cleaned. Like everything is just pristine inside. It's built the way it should. Like the bores were honed for the stock pistons, which I still run, till they clearance enough, because the stock pistons are tight enough so that when you really beat on it, they score the bores. So that's all done right. Like cams were polished. Everything is like I spent a lot of time just putting together this bottom end. I have a lot of photos but no video. So that's properly put together. It'll only blow up if I tell it to blow up, which is, you know, too much timing or like too much boost. So, and then with the dry sump, it's so, like, even while it's off, it still has, I guess you could say, slightly positive oil pressure, because that tank is higher than the motor and it slowly drains into it over time.
Yeah.
So there's always oil there. As soon as you turn it over, it's got oil pressure. Played with regulator springs, got it all dialed in that sense. And then, yeah. But as it sits now, it should be making in the 700s, like low 700s for horsepower.
Yeah.
Like easily with this turbo. It's the same Super 6 that was on it. In the old videos, I was just running all sorts of experimental shit. But now it's pretty dialed in this sense.
You gonna run 700 at Cayuga? Are you gonna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But next time out, I'm like, this year we're gonna have to do things so much differently. Like I can't just YOLO it and say, okay, I'm doing an event, like whatever, like, you know, like just go and turn up the power, right?
Yeah.
Like I gotta do it. Like I've been working out, trying to get in shape to actually drive this thing, because driving it this summer with the whole new setup, it's just been, it actually functions as a car now. It's no longer a collection of components. It's a unit now. So you can actually get in it and just focus on driving. So I did everything well enough to get to that point. So now it's like I need to strengthen myself as a driver. I need to work, like, now the play has gotten the suspension and shit. Now the play is like in my body. You know what I'm saying? It's in my hands and shit. So
we gotta get Jason Dees for this.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, we're gonna be there with the camera, trying to record whatever we can on the track days.
Yeah.
Whatever goes well, whatever goes wrong.
So like, yeah, like before we just go to the track and like freaking like near death state, like just chugging coffee.
Yep.
On the way there.